Hi guys, how you doing? It's Jay here from Formula Fun. We have just finished our podcast episode, but it's now going to be episodes. We spent so long talking about everything that we realised that they're very, very long. So this first episode you're going to hear is Sinead and I talking about the most recent testing session that happened last week, which was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where all the teams hit the track in Bahrain, and we're going to break down each team individually. So we hope you enjoy. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Sinead.
Hello, Jay.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Formula Fun podcast.
Woo!
Wow, we've had testing. We've had
I
the
know.
first official round of testing last week, and there is a lot to jump into. So this week we are going to be talking about testing update. We'll give you a breakdown of all the teams, or quite a brief breakdown of all the teams as we go, and then a couple of key takeaways that we found, and then we're going to go into. We asked our audience, you guys, from on our Instagram and Facebook to post any questions, and we've had a couple. So we're going to pick off one of those, and then shortly after that, we'll go into Formula Fun Facts, and then our weekly roundup of Quizifying. How are you, Sinead? How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you, Jay. It has been a big week. My first big question for you, what is testing? Now, I know it says testing in the title, so you could probably divine an answer from that alone. But why don't you give us a quick one-sentence summary of what testing is?
Testing is a chance for all the Formula One teams to hit the track and find out what works and what doesn't.
You're trying your best to do it in one sentence, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Right.
That was pretty
Okay,
good.
so most seasons of recent years there's been 2 testing sessions, and that's what it is officially this year. Obviously the teams had a shakedown, which we've already spoken about in Barcelona a couple of weeks ago, but they had a testing session this week and then they had a testing session last week and then they have another one this week. Last week I think was more about reliability and to see what things they can break on their cars, so they know what the extremes are and how to put precautionary measures in to make sure it doesn't happen in future. And then this week is going to be, I think, about adding more performance to the cars to make them faster. Figure out
This week is
these new rules.
Last week was like baking the cake, and then this week is like putting all the icing and the wee sprinkles on.
Yeah, and chocolate chips.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're still not going to have any idea, I don't think. No, we'll have an idea, but we won't know fully what's going on with these cars, who's fastest, where everyone sits, until we hit qualifying in Melbourne. And to add on to that, Melbourne's it's a bit of a bogey track because it is a street circuit. So it's not your stereotypical racetrack.
Yes.
So I think when we get into places like Saudi Arabia, when that happens, we'll have a bit of a better understanding of what's happening. Yeah, and China as well. So yeah, that's sort of
okay. So it sounds
where we're at.
Sounds like regardless, the Australia track is an interesting one anyway, but adding in all these new things on top, it's going to be a bit of a carnival, I think, by the sounds of it. Like, it could be extremely dramatic.
I think the start of the race in Melbourne is going to be chaos, because as much as they have changed all of the rules for this year, I don't think drivers are happy.
Obviously, we'll get into this in a lot more detail as we go on, but do you think it was a bit naive of them to have so many changes and new regulations and everything happening all at once, but not lengthen the testing process a bit?
I think it was naive of them to go, let's completely
overhaul the
Formula
whole thing
One entirely.
In one go. Yeah.
They wanted to avoid what happened in 2014 with the engine change. The engine change, Mercedes turned up, and the Mercedes was just so far ahead of the pack. I think they wanted to eradicate that and go, right, let's just change everything. But in doing that, they've made the cars so complicated. We'll get in, like you said, we'll get into it per team. But I remember things like Lewis Hamilton has said, you need a degree to understand the rules of how to go racing now.
Right.
Fernando Alonso has said that they're so much slower through corners because instead of attacking the corner and going as fast as you can, they're lifting to try and charge this
new battery that they have. Yeah.
That need to generate enough power so they can make it to the end of the straight.
Hmm.
It's just changed the face of what racing is
Hmm.
and how they're going to go racing in Formula One.
Right.
And the more I see it, the more I'm going, oh, God, please
God.
don't let this be the demise of my favorite sport.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's dramatic. That is huge. Okay,
Mm,
last little quick question before we get into it.
yeah.
Do you think there's potentially going to be an element of, I hate to say this, but let's say with the likes of Lewis and Alonso who've been racing for decades now, is there going to be, a bit like in our lives with technological advancements, you get Gen Zers and Gen Alphas coming up with their okay boomer mentality saying like, get with the times, old man. Like, do you think there's a chance that maybe some of the younger drivers are going to take to the new regulations more quickly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think this is very much built for a simulator driver, someone that has grown up using simulators. Max Verstappen is a prime example of somebody who adores the old school racing mentality.
Yeah.
You're going into a corner, you want to go into that corner as fast as you can, you want to go through the corner as fast as you can, and then you want to get the best lap time because of the throttle under your foot, and you want to get there as quickly as possible and just
Yeah.
set the fastest time. But he's also a sim racer. He has his own sim team on online racing. He has a simulator in his house, like so do a lot of the younger drivers, and those are the people that are going to go
Hmm.
home and go, right, how can I better harvest my energy to make the battery work and work out how to drive these cars because it's different from how it
Yeah.
used to be. I think, I mean, I dare say I'm going to throw myself into that as well. Like, I love
Hmm.
watching how fast these cars can go around corners and how incredibly, like, it almost like bends the rules of physics that they can get around a
Right.
corner so quickly.
Yeah.
And now it's going to look slower, but they'll be faster on
Okay.
the straights, but it's going to be really hard to overtake. But like, there's all these questions,
Yeah.
and everyone's just going, was this the right decision?
Okay.
But they can't just turn around and go, no, you know
No,
what, let's
let's
change it.
let's go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, with
Okay,
that in
so let's
mind,
break these
shall
down.
we break it down?
Yeah. Let's break down the
Okay.
teams. Go on.
So up first, Mercedes. Now, this is an interesting one because, we've both been well, I've been saying with much glee, and you've been reluctantly admitting that Mercedes have been up to this point in the strongest position going into the first race. Now, this past week just gone, that seems to be slipping away from them ever so slightly. They've had some reliability issues. Kimi Antonelli, especially, had some issues. They didn't put in nearly as many laps as some of the other teams. And George Russell has said in an interview that he says that this is a reality check for them and that he thinks that Red Bull have knocked her out of the park and are now their closest competitors and potentially the strongest team. So that's interesting. Now, I've had a thought about this, which is that even though George and Kimi are kind of coming out with their heads hung a little bit, they still came out with the two fastest lap times of the week. So that's, and I know lap times aren't everything. There's a lot of other things to consider. But I did wonder is it possible that they're kind of playing mind games a little bit, that they're trying to let on like, oh no, looks like we're not doing that well. And then first race comes and they're just going to slam it. What do you think?
I think I think there's an element of truth to that. I think so. It's called in Formula One terms, maybe even other sports terms as well. It's called sandbagging. So teams would sandbag and go, "We're not going to put full power into the engine,
Hmm.
and we're going to just seem like we're sort of on everyone else's pace, maybe a little
Hmm.
bit slower." There's an interesting fact about Red Bull when we come to Red Bull that I'll explain as well later. Let's seem like we're a little bit slower, but then as soon as that first race happens, let's crank the engine up
It's
to
like,
100%.
bam.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but they had reliability issues. Now they left Barcelona, they left the private shakedown test
Hmm.
session thing a couple of weeks ago, and they all were like, yeah,
Yeah.
we even
In the
ran on
bag.
Thursday because there was
Yeah.
no issues. Like, we're
Yeah.
fine. Like, it was a proper like flex. But they've come here and yeah, they had reliability issues. I think it was Kimi Antonelli was meant to go out on the morning. They found an issue with the engine. Instead of fixing that issue, they replaced the entire engine in the back of the car, which took all morning. So I think Kimi got three outlaps. So an
Right.
outlap is when you leave the pits. He got three outlaps. So he left the pits 3 times, but then just came straight back in again just to check everything was right. So Kimi really, I don't have the numbers, but I know that Mercedes did
282
282 laps. But in terms of like percentages of what Russell did versus
versus
Kimi,
Kimi. Yeah.
I think it's like 75% to Russell and
Right.
25% to Kimi ish, maybe even less for Kimi. Yeah, so the fact that they had to change the engine and they were facing, and that wasn't the only reliability issue they faced, makes me think they're not sandbagging.
They're not. Yeah. They're actually quite worried.
Yeah, I'm actually going to add a takeaway for later on as well because I
Okay.
think I have an idea of what's going on. So yeah, so that but yeah, Mercedes I think had to swallow their pride a bit because I think they were
Yeah.
expecting to come back in and smash it.
Yeah. Which is going to give all the George Russell haters something to smile about.
I don't know. Yeah, wait and see for that first race because I think there's also something with Mercedes. Have you heard about the engine situation?
Yes. So I think we've touched on it a few times in the last couple of
Yes,
weeks.
they found a loophole.
Yeah.
Compression ratio, which I don't know anything about, and I don't expect anyone to know anything about who's listening to this. But compression ratio, there's a set number. I believe it's 16. I don't know if that's correct.
407.
Yeah, I believe there's a compression ratio which has to be 1/16 at ambient temperature. Mercedes have done something which basically means that when the engine is running at a hotter temperature, i.e., when it's on and when it's running fast throughout the race, that can expand to 1/18, which apparently is going to give them nearly half a second a lap.
Right, which is
speed over the rest of them.
Huge.
Huge in terms of Formula One terms, yes. There's a meeting this week with the FIA who are going to determine who they're the people that set out all the rules.
Right.
They are going to determine whether the engine is legal or not. A lot of the other teams are lobbying for it to not be legal.
Of course.
If the FIA turn around and go, "Yeah, no, you can't have this engine," what are
they going to do?
Mercedes, McLaren, Alpine,
and Williams.
What are they going to do? Are they just going to not turn up? Like that's yeah. They'll just
have a wee
they'll be like
party.
or maybe do like the Flintstones, just like cut a hole out at the bottom and just run with the car.
Just run.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Equally, if the engine is deemed legal, Ferrari, Red Bull, Audi, Honda, they've all got to go, right, let's build a new engine then.
Yeah.
And also, can they do it? Because I believe I've heard a rumor somewhere that Red Bull also saw this loophole in the rules, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't engineer it. They didn't have the brain capacity to do it.
Okay.
So they were the ones that went, we think Mercedes are doing this trick. And it's sort of all broken out since then. But yes, that's Mercedes. We will wait and see what happens with that debate or that meeting later on this week. Okay, next up, Ferrari. Ferrari had a solid test. They brought updates to their car. So the first day, the car was looking quite squirrely.
Please. In our next Instagram caption, I'm going to have to put like a dictionary definition of what that word means because I've never heard anyone else in my whole life say the word squirrely.
And I'm saying it every single episode. It's now become a thing. It was looking a little bit unstable, let's say, and difficult to control. Ferrari brought some updates to the car, a new floor, a new front wing, I think, on day 2, and it made a huge difference. Okay. Now, the rumours around the paddock are that Ferrari did the fastest race time. So whilst they were doing this testing, a lot of the teams would go, you know what, let's do. The test took place at the Bahrain International Racetrack circuit. A lot of the teams did a race simulation. So they were like, right, let's pretend it's a race. Let's do the amount of laps that are going to be involved in the race. We'll do a pit stop in there and we'll just see how we get on. So yeah, Ferrari apparently are looking quicker than Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren on a race run. But again, we don't read anything into the times. The other teams are going to be bringing different updates and things next week, or this week to this new test. Who knows? Yeah, Hamilton, as I said earlier, is among some of the drivers. Max, Lewis, Alonso
Alonso.
seems to be the ones that don't really
Yeah.
care what other people think of them
No.
in
Yeah.
terms
Well,
of
because
they don't.
they can afford not to
Yeah,
because they have such
their
big
fame
reputations. Yeah.
transcends
Exactly.
Formula One as a brand.
Yeah.
So they're saying, it's so difficult. I've got a quote here. It's ridiculous complex. I sat in a meeting the other day and they're taking us through it. It's like you need a degree to fully understand it all. Like, for the sport, that sucks
Yeah.
because they're going to be like, no, we've spent a lot of time trying to make sure these rules are great and it's going to elevate racing and it's going to
Yeah.
be amazing for the viewer to watch. And then you've got people like Lewis and Max and Alonso saying, it's not great. I am the racing part of it, I think they're all saying is going to be really tricky. Yeah, we'll get into that with our takeaways later. But
I
I am
wonder
not
if E News are saying that Ferrari are doing better because of the Kim Kardashian effect. What do you think of that?
sure. Maybe what's happening is that Lewis Hamilton is going, right, guys, I'm just going to go get ready. I'm just going to go put my race suit on. He
Yeah.
goes into his back changing room and then comes out full helmet and everything. Maybe it's Kim Kardashian driving the car.
I thought you were going to go a much seedier route there, but you didn't. And that's the difference between you and me, Jay. But it was it was. You caught me off guard. It was a good one. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah. It's actually like an end of the championship happens and then Lewis Hamilton's one takes off the helmet and it's not even Lewis Hamilton.
A glossy
slow
mane of hair.
motion with the hair going. Yeah, yeah. Kim Kardashian for world champion. Yes. Also, so yeah, Leclerc. But also, there's another thing. Mercedes are going. You shouldn't be looking at us. We're completely legal with our car. You should be looking at Red Bull. Red Bull are the ones that are really really quick on the straights. They were getting a second faster a lap.
Yeah.
And then Red Bull are going, yes, but did you see Ferrari's time? Because Ferrari actually have the quickest race time of all. And then Leclerc's walking down being like, no, we don't. McLaren do. And then McLaren are going, no. Mercedes are quick. Like, everyone is just throwing
Pointing fingers. Yeah, just
all
trying
over
to
the place.
Yeah.
Okay. But that is Ferrari in a nutshell.
But also, what's the other thing about Lewis? That's kind of mental.
But yes, he still doesn't have a full season race engineer. Which I find.
So explain why that's crazy to people that are like, well, what does it matter?
Sure. So all racing drivers have a race engineer and a performance engineer and lots of other people that work for their cars and for the driver themselves. But the race engineer, he had a guy called Ricardo Adami, I believe.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the videos on YouTube or watched any of the races last year, the communication wasn't quite on point between the pair of them. They didn't see eye to eye. Lewis Hamilton had a very long-standing relationship with Bono, his old race engineer from Mercedes, when he first signed with.
Not the lead singer of U2, different guy.
Not the lead singer of U2, very very different. But maybe just a nice voice. Maybe he also sings. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe.
So he left to go to Ferrari. I think wanted to bring Bono with him.
Mm-hmm.
Bono then got a promotion at Mercedes to stay at Mercedes. He then stayed there. Lewis Hamilton went to Ferrari. Ricardo Adami and him didn't really see eye to eye. There's this horrible clip at the end of Abu Dhabi where Lewis is like, it's been a really tough season, but honestly, guys, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all the work you've done for me.
And the
silence. And he then goes back on the radio and goes, are you guys there?
Did you hear us?
And he goes, yeah, sorry, we were just laughing about something else. Haha. Like, I really felt for.
I wonder if they had couples counselling.
Well, it didn't go well if they did because he's not doing that job anymore. So yeah, but he doesn't have a full. There's a race engineer that he currently has, which I believe is like a part-time,
like a
short-term solution
till he gets.
But
I wonder how that
ideal.
goes down. Like, do you think they hold interviews and like people come in and it's like Lewis with, I don't know, what do you call the guy? Oh, Fred Vasseur. And they're just there like, so tell us why you want to be this job. Maybe?
I just find it baffling. Like, as in, with the regulations this year, that communication is so important. And I think in Lewis's statement, he said something along the lines of, Ferrari are doing everything they can to make sure the transition's really smooth.
Mm-hmm.
They've had since December. It's now the 16th of February. Like, why have they not sorted this before? Has it been... Now, I believe there's somebody that might be coming from McLaren
Okay.
who was Oscar Piastri's performance engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Race engineer, performance engineer, two different things, but we'll go
Yeah.
into that another time.
Yeah.
And he's on gardening leave from McLaren. So surely they then go, you know what? Let's go for somebody that's not going to be on gardening leave so that Lewis has somebody to communicate with for the whole year instead of going, we'll figure it out throughout the year. Don't worry about it. I mean, this is like Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be a disaster of a year if he doesn't have somebody that he gets on with because of how the regulations are. He just said you need a degree to understand the rules.
Yep.
But maybe I'll do it. I'll give
You
Lewis a
should do
call.
it.
Hey, man.
Yeah. You
Hey, man.
guys would have great chemistry. I could see it
Yeah.
already. Yeah.
Hey, man. Do you want me to be a race engineer? Basically, right foot goes faster, left foot slower. You got it?
Or, and
Cool.
hear me out, Kim Kardashian.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're not dating. Maybe she's got a job with
She's his
Ferrari and
new
she's the
race
new race
engineer.
engineer.
She's just
And they
building a
went to the Super
rapport.
Bowl
Yeah,
together.
just get to
Yeah.
know each other. Imagine.
I'm here for it. I'm
She
here
did,
for it.
she failed her law degree thing. So, maybe she's looking for a new path in life.
Yeah.
You didn't
Maybe
even
she
know
got a
that she was
degree. Of
training to be a lawyer, did you?
course
No,
I
that was
didn't.
like a whole
No.
thing. It was a whole thing.
Isn't she in a TV program where she plays a lawyer? Is that her?
Is she? Oh, maybe I think that was like an in joke. Yeah. But
Sure.
she did her exams and then she failed. So, I mean, I think she's going to be fine. I think she's
Yeah.
probably fine about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for Lewis already. It's gonna be a crazy year for him, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that's Ferrari.
Woo! Right, let's move on to Red Bull. Mr. Max and the other guy. No, Isaac. He's actually really great. So, as we've discussed already, Russell was pointing the finger back to Red Bull, saying, but they are 1 second faster on the straights with whatever way they've managed to engineer. It seems like they've really nailed the battery part of the power system. So, where other teams are struggling to manage that, it seems as though Red Bull have found a way to maximize the potential of the battery aspect of the power.
Maximize.
Hey, I mean, his name was just built for being a driving
Yeah.
champion. I mean, come on. So they did have some problems with reliability, I believe, but overall, this 1 second faster thing seems to be the thing that people are gossiping about in the paddock. As you've already said, Max has a lot of opinions, as always, as he is wont to do. So even though they did really well as a team, he's still not really satisfied with the new regulations, how it's affecting his driving style. It's not really allowing him to drive as aggressively, like around corners and things, because he's having to lift and coast a lot in order to rebuild battery. And yeah, how am I doing, Jay?
You're doing good.
Yeah.
Can you explain to listeners what this lift and coast means?
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, I do it all the time in my Kia Sportage, where if you've built up enough kind of speed and momentum, you can lift your foot off the pedal and kind of allow the car to just coast along. Especially like I do it a lot on downhill things because, you're already moving, with
when it comes to like an EV or
yeah,
a electric powered car,
yeah,
in doing that, you're sort of recharging the battery.
the battery.
That's
Yeah,
so they're basically, the drivers are getting to the end of the straight, they're lifting and coasting
around the
instead of
corners.
braking,
Yeah,
and in doing that, they're then recharging the battery up again to then be able to put the throttle down out of the corner with more battery power. Is basically what lift and
yeah.
coast is. Yeah.
So to quote Max directly, he said, and I'll paraphrase because it was quite a long thing that he said, as a pure driver, I enjoy driving flat out. And at the moment, you cannot drive like that. A lot of what you do as a driver has a massive effect on the energy side of things. For me, that's just not Formula One. Maybe it's better to drive Formula E, right? That was my impression of Max. It was very good.
Very good.
Driving wise, it's not so fun.
This is bad news for Formula One, I feel, at the moment. It's not ideal.
No. I guess,
Yeah,
I mean,
similar.
they do have points to make. Like I remember, I think it was 2 episodes ago, I was saying to you, like, do they have plans, in the future to become fully electric and to get rid of, fuel altogether in an effort to become more sustainable? And you said, well, that already exists and it's called Formula E, which that was news. Well, it wasn't news to me. I'd heard of it, but it didn't quite clock with me at the time that that's what that was. So he's even saying, you know, if we're just going to do this, then we might as well all drive for Formula E.
Yeah, I understand that Formula One are wanting to bring the latest technology and stuff to road cars. That's the whole sort of reason and stance behind why Formula One exists in terms of the bigger picture. They are going towards this like, oh, it's all about electrical power, and it's just not Formula One. And I really, really, really hope we get to Melbourne and we are all proved wrong and the racing is insane, because that will make up for it. But maybe I think the intention was, or there is maybe a small intention to, why not go back to the V10s, V12s with sustainable fuels? Now they're doing sustainable fuels. Maybe that's the route back. Who knows? But then what good is that for on-road cars, like normal road cars, your normal day-to-day car, that your Kia Sportage? What good is that going to be if they go to a V10, V12? Are they going to put a V10 in the front of your Kia Sportage and with sustainable fuels you can get there in 10 seconds? Like, yeah, it's a tricky one, and I hope that the entertainment and the competitive driving and racing makes it worth it. Otherwise, we've set up a podcast for no reason, because no one's going to watch the sport, which is really good. Yes, similar to Russell and Antonelli, sort of same thing happened with Red Bull. They had some reliability issues, and I believe it was on the same day where Mercedes were changing the engine. Hadjar didn't really get much running in, and again, Max Verstappen got a lot more in a similar way to Russell, got a lot more than Antonelli. Verstappen got a lot more than Hadjar.
And Hadjar also had a nightmare at the shakedown, if I remember. He crashed, and it sort of greatly impacted his ability to practice with the car. So, yeah.
But they're looking good. Now, here's my point about Red Bull.
Yeah.
Red Bull's fastest time was posted by Max Verstappen on day one. I think this whole, because all that chat about this whole like, oh, they're a second faster on the straights, which they were, like the telemetry didn't lie. They were like, oh no, they're a second faster. They're able to harvest more energy per lap, which means they're able to go faster on the straights. They're gaining up to a second on the straights per lap. Huge amount. It's monumental.
Yeah.
But that all came on the first day. So I think Red Bull went, hang on a second. Let's wait. Let's not do that again. Let's put the engine down to about 70% and we'll just sort of go along with the rest of the field. We know it works.
I didn't know that Alan Partridge worked for Red Bull.
He certainly does.
You've done that voice quite a lot in this episode. Is that is this going to be a thing
maybe
now?
It's my only voice I do. So yes, so I think that Red Bull maybe showed their hand a little bit too quickly on day one. It's all a game of poker or chess or however you want to picture it. But yes, that is where they're at, and I think they're hiding a lot more. I think everyone's sandbagging. I really do.
Right.
Really think.
Yeah, everyone's keeping their cards close to their chest.
Yes. McLaren. Okay. McLaren, I feel like, had quite a quiet test. They were, I think, just breaking things and trying to work out how far to push some of their components in the car. But they believe that they are fourth fastest. So they say.
They believe.
They believe.
What you can't. It's not opinion though, is it? It's facts. So what do they mean when they say they believe that they're? I believe a lot of things that.
Because they're. What do you believe?
I believe that sometimes I believe that I'm Cher.
They believe that they are the fourth.
Very good.
Very,
team. Very good.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. God, he's got the talent. He's got the talent.
Oh, he's got it.
No, so I think with all the teams, they're trying to, like, cars going down the straight, they're trying to measure, and this is all the teams doing it of everybody. There's so many different variables. What are the fuel loads? What tyres are they running? Is the engine turned up to 100?
Right.
So many things. What mode is it in, etc. But McLaren, based on all of that information, have said, we think we're about fourth fastest, because there's still a lot of work to do to be able to be at the front of that. This is the constructors' champions of the past 2 years.
Yeah.
They're saying, yeah, we're not fastest. But again, it's that whole thing. Ferrari are faster than us. No, Mercedes are faster than Ferrari. Mercedes going, no, Red Bull are faster than us. It's just everyone's, like you said, pointing the finger. But they got the most laps of all, along with Williams. They got 422. Now, when you compare that to Mercedes, who got 282,
yeah,
It's a lot more laps, so hopefully they've got more data to take back to the factory at MTC and find out how to get better. We'll see
Okay.
you this week.
All right. Should we move on to Haas? Yeah, I think Haas had a great week. I guess they're always working within the parameters of the fact that they're not going to be the best team. They're not going to be at the top of the grid. They're the smallest team on the grid. So I think relative to their standing, they've done really well. They had great reliability. They were communicating really well with each other in order to fix issues as they arose. I watched an interview with their team principal, Io. I can never pronounce his surname. Komatsu. And he seems to be really positive about everything that had happened for them. He said that it seems as though they have learned more in the last 3 weeks than they learned in the entire of last season, which is quite a big statement, but also I think I see it. I see where he's coming from.
Yeah, you asked earlier what testing was, and I think it's putting the car on the track. There's nothing better. You can put it through all the machinery and wind tunnels and simulations ever, but there's nothing better than putting the car on the circuit
real life
and
thing. Yeah.
testing it.
Yeah. So, there's an argument for them having come out of this round of testing being the best midfield team, maybe, which is a huge achievement for them if that turns out to be the case. Because I think Oliver Berman and Esteban Ocon, who are their two drivers, in terms of lap times, they came in 8th and 9th, respectively, which, as an average is pretty good.
That's points.
Yeah. And then speaking of drivers, they have now signed on Jack Doohan as their reserve driver for next year, which is great for him because I felt really sorry for him. So last year, Jack Doohan drove for Alpine and they only allowed him to race 3 times before they replaced him, which was kind of harsh because, it's...
Did you interview?
Which video?
So he's done an interview in the day he arrived at the Bahrain circuit for Haas, and he made such a big deal out of the fact he was like, "Yeah, this team have been really welcoming. They've been so supportive, and they've just been brilliant." And I was like,
throwing shade.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Shots fired. I was like, wow, okay, clever.
People love to throw shade at Alpine. Do you remember when Piastri left them and he wrote that tweet? Yeah. If you don't know, just Google it. It's so funny. I will not be driving for Alpine next year. And then have you seen, so Oscar Piastri did an ad for Google Pixel. Have you seen it? Right. First of all, it's hilarious because it plays on his, I won't take you through the ad scene by scene, but it plays on his very deadpan, the fact that he wins a Grand Prix and he's like, yay. But there's a bit where he's having his house redecorated and on the wall, they take off a painting of Alpine mountains and put up a painting of a papaya. Have you not seen it? It's so good.
Very good. Well done, marketing
teams. Watch it. It's a really good, it's brilliant marketing. Yeah.
Bringing us on to Alpine. Who I know that we've said that maybe Haas might be the best midfield team. I think there's a chance that Alpine has catapulted a lot of them. As I think I said right from the start, Alpine have got Mercedes in the back of it, and if the Mercedes engine gets past, which I think it probably will, they have been. I think they're a lot quicker than they were last year anyway. So I think that that Haas, Alpine, Racing Bulls, Williams is going to be really interesting to see who and where they place when it actually comes to the racing. What is really exciting, it's interesting, is how all the cars, at the start of every regulation when it comes to aero and stuff, so 2022 was the last time we had a big aero change where we went to the ground effect cars. You looked across all the cars and there was quite a few of them were adopting similar ideas and philosophies in terms of how it was going to work. This year, all the cars are so different. And so much so that the one thing on the Alpine is it's not DRS anymore, it's active aero. I'm going to have to get out of saying that. So we spoke about the rear and the front wing open so that they can go fast down the straights, which also helps the battery power, blah, blah, blah. A lot of the teams have done the DRS style of rear wing where let's imagine there's two wings here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. Two wings here, and then the top one will go, and then it will allow air to come through. Alpines is the only one where the whole thing just like collapses like this.
Oh, right.
Now, I don't know what benefit that is, or maybe it's not going to bring a benefit. Maybe they come to this test with a different rear wing. Maybe they come to the first race with a different rear wing. Or maybe everyone has gone, ooh, Alpine's done something different. That looks like it would work better on our car. So maybe they'll come back with a rear wing. But it's really interesting to see how many different takes there has been from an aerodynamic perspective. You look at an F1 car, it looks like an F1 car, but
Yeah.
actually the closer you look,
The details
the
are.
more intricate the
Yeah.
details are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But right at the end of the 3-day test, Franco Colapinto, who races at Alpine with Pierre
And
Gasly,
replaced Jack Doohan, the aforementioned Jack
replaced
Doohan.
Jack Doohan. He was doing his burnouts to get to the grid because they were allowed to do a practice start at the end of the test.
Mm-hmm.
As he did a burnout, he put too much throttle on and very, very, very nearly stacked it into the wall on the start-finish straight. Yeah, because they have so much power on their right foot. The electrical energy alone is like more than like the fastest Ferrari road car that you can get, plus the engine on top of it.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of power, and he just lit up the rear tires, and he very nearly stacked it. I definitely think it woke him up, and hopefully there were no stains on his seat by the time he got back to the garage. But yes, that's Alpine. I think they're quietly just going about their business, but I think they're ones to watch out for.
Cool. And then we have Racing Bulls. Now, I'm not going to lie, find it difficult to find much information about how their week went, which is, good and bad, I suppose, because it means they didn't have a shocker. Otherwise, we would be hearing about it. I do know that Liam Lawson, who is now their kind of first driver, if you want to put it that way, because they have a rookie coming in the other seat, the more experienced driver, let's put it that way. He doesn't seem to be having much difficulty with the starts, and that's interesting because starts in general seem to be creating rather a huge problem, not just for the drivers from the perspective of them wanting to be fast at the start, but also from a safety point of view. So in order for them to start efficiently, they have to rev for 10 seconds before they pull out. Yes. But a lot of the drivers are saying that it's hard to do that and find consistency without overcharging the battery that they have. So it's going to lead to a lot of trouble just getting out of the pit lane or just getting out of the starting blocks. Am I just not, is that true? I'm doing my best
No,
to
it's very
explain
true.
things clearly.
I know it genuinely is a concern because for those who don't know, when the Formula race starts, they are all on the grid and they have one lap to do like a warm up, and that's warming up the tires, it's making sure the engine and brakes are up to temperature, yada yada yada. By the time the last person gets onto the grid after they've done their lap, the last person approaches their grid slot, then all of a sudden the 5 lights go out and then we start racing. It seems like the teams have to, as you say, rev their engines for about 10 seconds in order to spin up the turbo, which will give them the electrical and the engine power to then set off from the starting blocks, from their grid slot, to set off when the lights go out at full power, maximum capacity of power, whatever. So you're telling me that now the car who approaches the final grid slot, there's then an additional 10 seconds, in which case, what was the point in warming up your tyres and engine and brakes in the first place, because they're all going to cool down again?
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, it probably takes, I'd say, over a minute for all the cars to line up. So when the person on pole position lines up versus when the person at last lines up, there's probably about a minute of that, of everyone just like getting into their slot. Add another 10 seconds at the end. Come on, like they just need to figure out what they're going to do. But as you say, Liam Lawson saying there's no real, that 10 seconds turbo lag isn't really a thing for the Red Bull Ford powertrain. Andrea Stella, also from McLaren, said that it's a bit of a joke that this is the current situation, that they might have to spin up this turbo. It's going to cause potential accidents. We need to be safety first.
Yeah, like how is it only becoming an issue now?
Yeah, how is it becoming an issue now? The race is in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
What?
I know. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, is like, I can just picture it now, like the start of the race is potentially going to be chaos. Like there could be crashes before they even cross, the start line.
First
Yeah.
corner, yeah, but yeah, even earlier. So as Pierre Gasly said, watch the start of the first race, please. Okay. That's pretty much all on Racing
Mhm.
Bulls. The Arvid Limbad didn't really have much to say. He was very much. I saw an interview with him in Sky F1, and he was very PR like.
Mm.
Yes, no, it's going well, but we
Yes,
don't know what the
no,
times
it
are.
does.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, bit of a robot. Also, it was right at the start of the interview. He went, "It's nice to meet you," and Ted was like, "We've definitely met before." Bless him, he's young. That's Racing Bulls. Next up, we have Williams. Okay, Williams.
Williams, my favorite team. They're not doing so great.
Are you back? Are you
Oh,
back?
right. Sorry. Oh, yeah. I see that
No,
it's gone.
it's laggy. There you are.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah. Okay, next up we have Williams. So
Williams.
they obviously didn't do the Barcelona
No.
shakedown. They weren't there, but they did really well during the
Mm.
test in terms of they got mileage on the car. They did 422, which was joint top with McLaren. Lots of laps, and the car. I mean, it's not looking incredible. Like no one's going,
Mm.
"Oh, Williams is definitely one to look out for." I think this was very much a case of playing catch up, figuring out if all the things work, if all the procedural things happen, if all the system checks are working as expected, and everyone is happy. It seems, which is good. They completed a lot of laps. They've now completed more laps than Aston Martin, who did make the shakedown in
But like
Barcelona.
it, like.
Yeah. We'll get on to Aston Martin after you cover Audi, but Aston
Mhm.
Martin. That's pretty much it for Williams. I think they're just going about their own business.
Okay. So Audi, so they're still figuring it out, which is to be expected. I always find it difficult because it's not really right to refer to them as a brand new team, is it? Because they've taken over from a pre-existing team. But at the same time, it feels like they're a brand new team because, the Audi brand, it's the first time that the Audi brand have raced on the grid.
And the Audi engine. The Audi
And
engine
the
is
Audi
brand new
engine.
as well.
Right. So how should we refer to them moving forward, do you think? Because then you have Cadillac, who are a brand new team. I don't know. I guess the point I'm trying to make is you have to kind of judge them by a slightly different metric because they are coming into everything newly. Newy. That doesn't work because there's not Aston Martin. Never mind. So they did a lot of work on the car, like noticeably the most work on their car since the shakedown, as in it was visible to see it. They'd kind of returned to, there were a lot of, you can fill in the blanks here in terms of the technical aspects of it, but there were a lot of things on the car that looked different. The side pods had changed and the front, what's that called?
Wing.
The spoiler was different.
They got some fluffy dice at the
Yeah.
top, and that's now in there on their
Yeah,
little
exactly.
rearview
Yeah.
mirror.
Alan Partridge is back. Yeah, so there was a lot of changes to their bodywork, which is really unusual at this stage of development to be coming in with like a car that looks different as well on the outside as well as, obviously being different on the inside. They did pretty well, again considering their recent addition to the grid. They came in at 354 laps, which is pretty respectable, all things considered. So, any other technical bits that you wanna fill us in on?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Similar to what you're saying there, reminiscent of the Mercedes 2022 car, which they came with this zero pod idea, which is basically where the side pods almost didn't exist. They're almost like
Right.
in line with the bodywork, and they didn't go out, which really upsets me because the Audi, I think, looks really cool with those wide side pods and then the red that goes into it.
Because weren't we
And they've
saying
got
when we
rid of
saw
it.
the liveries? Weren't we saying when we saw the liveries that the Audi was the most interesting to look at because it did look so different from the other ones? And then
Yeah.
yeah,
But no, they've changed it now, which I was like, oh, I really liked how it used to look. But it's about performance, not about how the car looks. So that is fine. But no, yeah, I think they're like similar to Williams and Racing Bulls. Really, they just mind their own business, trying to clock up the miles. They did, yeah, they got 354 laps, which is 70 less than the most laps of the week, which is not bad at all. So yeah, they're just figuring it out as they go. On to Aston Martin. Oh
woo,
my god. They have signed Adrian Newey, who is the best aerodynamicist in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They have just spent millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds on a brand new complex, which
Mm-hmm.
includes a brand new wind tunnel. It's like meant to be the creme de la creme of a Formula One team's headquarters. They are now a works team, which means they are the only team running the Honda engine. No, that's a lie. They are the only team running the Honda engine. But if Honda was going to give engines to anyone else, Aston Martin would still be the works team. So they have all of the ins with Honda
Right.
to find out what's happening with that engine. First year they've designed their own gearbox, and it's not looking good. Lance Stroll came out and said that they were 4 seconds slower than the people at the top per lap. Now, just to give you an idea, when last year
Mm-hmm.
the whole field spread for qualifying was just over 2 seconds. That's from first place to last in qualifying, just over 2 seconds. For Lance Stroll to say they're 4 seconds off the pace is so far away from where they need to be.
Yeah.
But Alonso's come out and said, it's okay. We will have the fastest car because we have Adrian Newey. You just need to give us this season or half of this season. That's a hell of a lot of pressure for one guy to, and he's like, yeah, no, we will have the fastest
Sorry.
car because
Sorry, I tried to warn you, but I couldn't get it out before I sneezed.
that's right. That's right. That's a hell of a lot of pressure for one guy to have a two-time world champion, some still considering one of the best drivers in the world, saying, no, the car will be the best car. It will be because we have Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Whew. Yes.
They're not looking good. It's not looking
No.
good for Aston Martin at the moment. Adrian Newey had to call a meeting and go, hey guys, I know it's not great, but I know what needs to be fixed. And we
Okay.
will fix it. Again, throwing a lot of pressure on himself. He gave himself this challenge. He came back into Formula One. He didn't have to,
Yeah.
but he's here. And I'm sure, Adrian Newey is a very, very intelligent man. He has designed many a championship winning car. But I think a lot of expectation was on him for this year. And it's not started off in the best fashion.
No. Poor guy. And then finishing off with Cadillac, not really much to say, as we said, because so essentially they're a brand new team. It was either going to be, ooh, or it was going to be, wow, they're doing pretty well. And I think we can safely say that it's gone plan B, the second option. They made a really good effort. They put in a decent amount of laps, just 7 shy of Racing Bulls. They did stop on the track a few times, but it was nothing major or drastic. They didn't have any crashes. They didn't have any engine failures or anything like that. So I think as a team they're going to be pretty happy with that outcome.
I think Cadillac have, they were the first team to hit. I could be wrong. No, Audi was. They were one of the first teams to hit the track in terms of just to get the car on the track and just see if it runs, etc. And they've smashed it out of the park. Like they're a brand new team. They've started everything from scratch: facilities, car, aerodynamics, using some stuff from Ferrari, obviously gearbox and engine. But putting a whole new team together, putting all those things together, that's a huge thing. And at one point, there was a chance they weren't going to be on the grid because their application got kicked out.
Yeah.
Then they were on the grid as Cadillac. And yeah, I think they've just done a really, really incredible job to be where they are, which is amazing.
They had to pay an insane amount of money for that application as well, didn't they?
Yes.
Like tens of millions.
Because all the
maybe
teams
even
said, no, you
hundreds of
can't be in F1.
millions. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all the teams said you can't be in Formula One because it dilutes the prize pot, essentially.
Mm.
Because why would you enter Formula One now after, now the sport's thriving, now everyone wants a piece of the pie. But then they were like, but hang on, we are the reason why this sport is thriving, so why would we dilute the prize pot and dilute the money down? But Cadillac had to put a substantial amount of money in so that it won't affect that. But now they're in. And I think they're here to stay as well. I think it will be good. But yes, Bottas and Perez, who knows what will happen with them. They'll be they're two very experienced drivers, so hopefully they'll just be able to drag that team forwards. And I think on the face of it, we're looking at Cadillac, Audi, Aston Martin at the back of the grid. Probably Cadillac right at the back, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
I think Racing Bulls, Williams, Haas, Alpine, midfield.
But it'll be interesting to see in what order.
Really interesting to see
Yeah.
what order. And then on top of that is at the front of the field, we've got McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. But again, we don't know what order.
And there we go. That's the roundup of testing.